Thank you very much for that inspiring address, Simon. I think that you illustrate the value of the education that you've had, not only your undergraduate education, but also your MBA. And I feel confident as a board member of the Western Bulldogs that the club is in good hands under your stewardship. So thank you again for taking the time to participate in our graduation ceremony. I would now like to invite Alison Wan, who graduated with a degree in arts today, to speak on behalf of the graduates. Alison achieved outstanding results and also made an exemplary contribution as a leader and mentor in creative arts publications. Alison was the managing editor of the 10th anniversary edition of Offset magazine, which is the annual creative arts magazine produced by final year students. Could you please welcome Alison?
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, academic teaching staff, fellow graduates, family and friends. It is with great pleasure and a sense of honour that I stand before you today. Since being asked to give the valedictory address, I have reflected upon my time as a student at VU, trying very hard to put into words the effect that 3 years of study has had upon my life. I came to tertiary education rather late, deciding on a whim about a month before my 38th birthday to apply for an arts degree after seeing an ad in a local paper. There had long been a regret that I had not gone on to further study after high school. However, the opportunity to do so had never really presented itself until nearly 4 years ago. Initially, I took 2 subjects a semester, trying very hard to balance work, uni and my family life. But by the end of the first year, I was hooked on learning and determined that it wouldn't take me forever to get my degree. So with the blessing of my amazing husband and supportive children, I gave up a very well-paid job and started to study full-time. While we missed the money, for me, full-time study was a no-brainer. VU was where I wanted to be, and that was due in no short measure to the talented, dedicated and inspiring lecturers and tutors I was learning from. And learn I did. It's amazing how we can go through life, feeling that we are well-informed, culturally aware, literate members of society. However, it wasn't long before my tutors had me questioning not just my own knowledge, but the very ideals and beliefs I have held dear for so long. I learned about such things as known knowns, and known unknowns, and unknown knowns, and that I had to question everything I had been taught up until that time. They didn't mean that everything I knew was wrong, but that I shouldn't assume that it was right. I didn't just learn from my teachers, however. One of the most enlightening things about attending a university such as this is that I have learned from my fellow students. While sitting next to kids who could literally be your children was sometimes disconcerting, there were times when I was awestruck and humbled in the presence of my classmates. I've heard stories of persecution, first in their country of origin, and then when they finally arrived in Australia, a place in which they had sought refuge. I have watched students struggle with financial hardship, personal loss, living away from home, as well as battling to come to terms with self-organisation and real discipline in study for the first time in their lives. But the majority have made it to the end, and for that they should be proud. It was, however, the lecturers and tutors that kept me coming back to class each week with enthusiasm. Whether it be my professional writing teachers or those from my history major, every one of the lecturers and tutors at VU are grounded in reality. They still practice their trade outside of the university, and this gives the lessons that they teach a real sense of legitimacy and confidence that what we learn here can indeed be applied in the real world. No matter their subject or delivery method, all of the teachers I encountered over my 3 years at VU were passionate about their students, their subjects, and the privilege of being at Victoria University. I too feel such a privilege and have been lucky enough to find a job here to continue my relationship with VU and its community. Where you go from here is up to you. You may get a job, go on to further study, or say to hell with responsibility for a while, I'm going backpacking. Whatever your plans, I would like you to leave today with something that I heard at a function last week, talking about the attributes that universities should instill in their students. There is more to success than marks alone. While we can all learn to be writers, philosophers, public relations consultants, scientists and lawyers, what is equally important is that we have walked away from here with key human qualities that will see us through, no matter what unknown knowns life happens to throw at us. They are carefulness, thoughtfulness, humility, criticality, receptiveness, resilience, courage, and stillness. I leave you with those thoughts and wish you all the best with your futures. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alison. What a credit you are to Victoria University. And I think we all appreciated the thoughtfulness with which you spoke to us today and your advice. Very interesting story that you related to. So once again, everyone, thank you to Alison. I now invite the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Peter Dawkins, to read the charge to the graduates.
Chancellor, can I ask all of the new graduates to stand, please? I charge you as graduates of Victoria University to uphold our commitment to knowledge and skills, equality of opportunity, diversity and cooperation, integrity and to excellence. Values that are at the heart of your university and at the core of society. I charge you to make a difference to the world around you by keeping these values in mind as you work and live, both locally and internationally. Please be seated.
Thank you, Vice-Chancellor. Now, graduates, you've noticed the subtle difference in how we're addressing you. Started off by calling them graduands. Graduates. You've already thanked your family and your friends for their support. I think it's time to take the opportunity to thank the teaching and administrative staff at Victoria University for their contribution to your education. You've demonstrated their skills and the deep commitment to your education and to the support of our graduates. So I'm going to ask all the staff who are here to please stand. Stand. Thank you. And so, graduates and everyone else, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting towards the end of our ceremony, and I therefore offer our congratulations to all who received an award this morning. Previously, I asked the graduates to stand and thank their families. Now I'm going to ask the graduates to remain seated while the rest of us, the staff and the guests, stand. And let's congratulate our new graduates as heartily as possible on their wonderful achievements. It's exactly the sort of enthusiasm we're going to see in these celebrations of Victoria University. I will sit.
Chancellor,